there is plenty to think about before you buy a home computer.
Electronic games being heralded by folks in the trade as this year's holiday bestseller.
I think it works this time. I think. Did y'all hear it? This is only episode 2. I honestly haven't had a ton of time to tweak the specific layout. So, Hunter with the 24 months. Woo! 2 years of tier 1 subs. Welcome to Stream Theory. Now, I do have my AC on. It's probably going to be picked up more in this mic than usual. I apologize. I forgot to turn my AC back on last night. And, well, you see what happens when you do that, and then it gets warm all of a sudden, is that it's 88 degrees Fahrenheit when I walk into the studio and need to do a live show. So currently it's still like 86. That was really loud. But it's cooling things off. What mic are you using today? We are using the wonderful, the incredible... I just made it click. I apologize. I'm not going to move it anymore. The incredible Earthworks Icon. It is a very expensive microphone. It is a broadcast condenser mic, but I think it's my new favorite microphone, and I kind of want a second one so I can have one to match on both of my desk setups. So I maybe can talk with them about that. But, woo! Welcome to Stream Theory. We got a new view for the side cam. I'm kind of switching a lot of stuff back to the way I used to do things, where I have super wide angle lenses. So this is my classic fisheye look. My only complaint is it looks like my CRT is kind of bowed out here, but otherwise you get to see a little bit more of the studio here. It's not as, blurred out or bokeh-licious as usual, but I think it looks incredible. I've been working on getting more. I finally hung the rest of that LED track that I have. So I have it running all around the room. I have it on the ceiling at certain points, trying to go for more of that arcade feel. And I think it really works. And we got more neon signs, or, fake neon signs distributed throughout the studio. We got the Stream Professor one. Yes, I'm finally achieving my video rental store / arcade aesthetic that I've been after for a while. Turn my music up a little bit more. The next step for that is figuring out, getting the key light levels lower so the ambient light can be higher, so you have more of the arcade glow and less harsh light on me. I'm working on that over at the main setup. I haven't even begun to touch any of this yet. Best blockbuster is the blockbusters we make at home. Exactly. All right, and I just love with this camera angle that you can see more of the setup. I do want to put it more like this, so you're less focused on the CRT taking up the frame and more on just the lighting, the plushes, the books. You need a video store uniform for that stream as well. You're right. I've been trying to get a Blockbuster polo. I have a Circuit City, I think. Yeah, Circuit City polo. And then I have my old Staples ones. But I've been trying to get a Blockbuster. I have a lanyard somewhere, like a employee lanyard. But I don't have the polo or uniform shirt or anything like that yet. But I think this angle looks incredible. Now, I can't use it for teleprompter stuff, and my screen's over here, so I'm going to be looking off screen. But I think for a view of the room, this is about as good as it gets. Get a custom embroidered polo. Yeah, except most places that do that are going to take issue with the logo and stuff. I could just get my own Vox's shop or something. Does the last Blockbuster have any? I don't know. I have to call them, see if they just got sent all of them when the others shut down. First time here, long time YouTube fan. Thank you for all of your help. I am forever grateful. Thank you for stopping by the stream. All right, we do have some housekeeping before we start the show, so to speak, and it's exciting stuff actually. So first and foremost, I actually have to open it up. I know I say this for all of my non-streamer news shows, but I am a little bit less prepared than usual because I was up till 5 a.m. last night. We had some stuff come up yesterday, and my schedule was thrown off, so I kind of slept until the literal last possible second here. If we switch over to our browser view, activate Netscape Navigator. First and foremost, Streamsmas is here. We are on week 2. So if you are unaware, and yes, I know you can't see the full browser, I have it cropped off the right instead of the left because you all were complaining about missing information on the left. I could not get a Netscape Navigator view that had a 16:9 frame of the browser, and so I have to do some heavy modification for it. Regardless, you're not missing anything. If you are unaware, I am doing... Ooh, I didn't launch stream labels. If you are unaware, I am doing giveaways every week until the end of the year, until New Year's. I am doing giveaways of streaming gear. The last couple years with the pandemic and the shipping disruptions and the price gouging and all of that has been really hard on everyone for getting gear and getting into streaming, despite the fact that so many more people are trying to get into streaming or need to upgrade their setups or what have you. Thank you, Luigi, by the way, for the tier 1 sub. And so to make up for that, since last year was kind of busy with me moving and everything, this year I'm doing weekly giveaways every week until the end of the year. And that means last week we gave away 10 EVGA XR1 capture cards. 10 of them. Well, the XR1 Lite. Partnered with EVGA for that one. And I was able to announce on Streamer News last Friday that Earthworks, the company that makes the Icon mic I'm using now, is giving away a Icon USB mic every week for these giveaways. So this week we are giving away a PreSonus Revelator USB that I just reviewed, as well as an Icon USB. So a $300 mic and a $180 mic. You can enter the giveaway. I will post it in chat here. Hype Train, thank you for the tier 1 sub, codename Scat. Well, that's quite the name. Thank you so much. Thank you for the Hype Train rolling. Well, it's close. We're building up to it. You know what to do. But I'll post a link to that giveaway. Again, we are launching these every week. They usually run for a few weeks. The first one only ran for about a week. But the ones that I'm doing will be running for about a week. And each week we will have various streaming gear related, either from companies themselves or from my own personal collection and hoard. So we'll have microphones and capture cards and other kind of gear things. I think I'm giving away an Elgato ring light as well. So stuff like that. Pretty stoked for these giveaways. You can definitely get yourself a nice upgrade of some gear for your PC or streaming setup. Go ahead and enter that, share it out if you will. Also, if you missed it, hey, we got 100 bits from Majin Miroku, and we got a hype train going. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. God, I love this mic. I'm trying to not like shill for it too much, especially since my review of it hasn't even gone live. But oh man, can I sound great on it. I don't know. It just recreates the like rumble of my voice. Like, and my voice isn't even in the right place right now. I just woke up. It's still sore from last night. I recorded a video at 2 a.m. last night. But like the certain way my vocal cords like almost like guitar strings like pluck themselves, like this mic recreates it perfectly. So by the way, also, I have finally started to launch, and I say started to launch, my Pokemon card shop on my eBay page. I also have listed some various, electronic stuff that I'm selling, and most of those have already sold. But I have quite a few Pokemon singles listed as well. I have countless more still to list. You guys have already been coming out like in swarms. I've already sold like 12 or 13 Pokemon cards already. That was not expected, so I'm struggling to... oh, that's the giveaway link. I'm struggling to get them listed fast enough. So... I will be putting a lot of time this week into getting the rest listed, and I got some sealed product to list and some Yu-Gi-Oh stuff as well. There's like a Magic thing and a Skylanders thing on there. I have a lot of stuff I'll be listing there as well. So if you want to pick up some of that stuff, if you're interested in my more Pokemon-oriented stuff, you can check that out as well. And I think that's the main housekeeping. We did have some videos go up since our last stream of sorts. I saw the giveaway for the XR1 Lite the day after I bought it. Yeah, that's okay. Which mic is it? It is the Earthworks Audio Icon Pro. I will have a review of it next week, I believe. So since our last stream, we of course had the episode of Stream Critique from this one. We had my PreSonus Revelator USB microphone review, which is the one I'm giving away this week. My finale to the 3-parter of the OBS Studio scripts. I still need to get the playlist links in the descriptions, but that was a 3-part video. This one is the 3rd part. And we had Streamer News, and then we had the Rode Broadcaster review as well. And of course, my 5-part series on, planning your stream show and things like that in there as well. You got an Asus Tough Gaming capture card for sale, do you? I do not. I am actually giving away my spare one of those in the giveaways for a future week. So instead of selling off a lot of that stuff, which a lot of that stuff I can't sell anyway when they're review units, I'm actually just giving away a lot. So stay tuned for the giveaway for those. So I think that's all of the normal housekeeping that we have to go through. I also wanted to cover, since we don't have streamer news this week, since it's a stream theory week, I wanted to cover a couple quick news things. I'm not going to like dive into them, but we have a beta for VSTs for the Elgato Wavelength software coming soon. Hell yeah. I've been really harping on them for not having that. Super stoked it's finally coming. Also, AverMedia announced the new capture card. I didn't get an email about this, which is weird. They always like hit me up for these reviews, so I don't know what happened there. But they have basically a 4K 60 HDR cam link. So it's called the Cap 4K. Up to 4K 60 HDR input, 4K 30 or 1080p 60 capture. It will be in HDR or SDR, I'm hoping. That is unclear at this time. Uncompressed, UVC, which means it's plug and play, should work on Mac and Linux as well. And then if you use their RE Central or Rec Central software, you should be able to get the AI face tracking and EPTZ framing that their webcams have, which is huge. You typically don't get those capabilities with external cameras, usually only with direct webcams. Now, NVIDIA Broadcast just also enabled capture card support as well, so you can get that in NVIDIA Broadcast as well. But if you happen to use their capture card, you can get it in their software as well, and it's only $99, which is, I think, a reasonable price for it. So hopefully I will have a review sample sent my way soon. Until then, I don't know. So welcome to Stream Theory. This is my what should be bi-weekly show, covering streaming topics, reviewing your streams, everything like that. If you want to give a subscribe here over on Twitch, you will get early access to videos and behind the scenes content over on our Discord server at discord.gg/EposVox. Got special role for you all there. Today we are actually looking at 2 streamers for stream critique, and then we have some microphones to look at for Tweak Zone as well. Again, I didn't get to get a ton of content prepped for this week, but I think the streams we're going to look at, you have quite a bit to learn from. And then I'm excited to check out the new microphones. I know I'm showing off one right now, but we have some new, like a new dynamic and a new condenser that we're looking at that I am stoked to show you as well. I use backing tracks for all of my streams. Hell yeah. When is someone going to bring out something targeted at the PS5 and Xbox Series X and their high frame rates? So HDMI 2.1 capture cards are probably not coming until the end of this year, like end of this year or next year, honestly. Like, from what I have heard from the capture card companies, getting HDMI 2.1 chipsets and support and stuff is already hard enough, especially with all the silicon shortages. And combine that with the fact that no one really knows what to do with the formats yet. So you have 4K 120, which is just a higher spec format, which is whatever. You can do whatever you want with that. The problem comes in all the other things that HDMI 2.1 supports. So you have the various HDR modes, you have the super upgraded surround sound modes, and you also have variable refresh rate. Now, there is a singular variable refresh rate capture card on the market. It's been sitting waiting for me to review for a while. I haven't quite gotten to it. But other than that, like, we don't have any, and no one really knows, at least conceptually, and I'm sure they've already figured that out, or they've been figuring it out, but as a source level, like surface level problem, no one really knows what to do with variable refresh rate as a format, because like when you think about it, what do you do with variable refresh rate? Because it is literally a frame rate that changes over time, which is bad for, you know, for video capture, because frame pacing and all sorts of stuff. So either you just drop everything other than 60 frames per second and you get no high frame rate modes, which a lot of the newer capture cards were letting you capture in 120 or 240 FPS, or you actually have the frame rate adjust dynamically, which means the frame pacing is going to be all over the place, or you're going to have extra tearing or all sorts of, I don't know. It's a mess. It's a huge mess. That's my problem with this 270 hertz 1440p monitor. Yeah, and 270 hertz isn't a standard format whatsoever, so even getting support for that, even if you have a HDMI 2.1 capture card, may or may not be the thing. Like, there's so many, there's like a Pandora's box of problems that come into video capture and video standards with HDMI 2.1 that I really wouldn't bank on having a capture card yet. And honestly, that's the early adopter costs. Like, that is, we saw the same thing when we got HDMI, or when we got 4K 60 monitors and high refresh rate monitors that didn't have HDMI 2.0. You're buying bleeding edge technology that video capture standards haven't caught up with, and that's just the cost of it. Like, for streaming, you want to stay behind. There's a reason that so many broadcast houses and things like that stick with like mini DV 1080i camcorders for so long and things like that, because you kind of have to stay behind the curve on formats in order to really maintain support and keep a smooth workflow, as no one really wants to deal with it. And frankly, the difference between 240 hertz and 270 hertz is basically non-existent. So I see no compelling reason to run something at 270 hertz. Like, the frame time difference is going to be so insignificant it doesn't matter. The input latency difference is going to be so insignificant it doesn't matter. Like, I see no compelling reason to go with such goofy formats. And I wish monitor companies would stop this like arms race of slapping on 5 or 10 more hertz to sound cooler when it's just making everyone's lives more difficult. But that's just me. All right, let's review some streams, shall we? Let me get my tabs sorted out here. Talked about eBay, we talked about the news, we'll talk about the microphones after stream critique. So we have a couple, like I mentioned, we have 2 streamers that, well, let's get into the show first. My bad. Let's do that first. So for stream critique today, well, keep in mind I'm doing this for YouTube too, so I'm gonna actually do an awkward enter. In this week's stream critique, we're actually reviewing 2 streamers, and they have similar layouts and similar ideas, and I think that's really cool, but they execute them fairly differently, and so I'm gonna have fairly different things to say about each of them, and I think there's something to take away. But I think both of them are doing some things very, very right. First and foremost, we have Retro Engine Duo. Now, they specifically did not give me a whole lot to work with in terms of like their strengths or weaknesses. Like, they left their application mostly blank. So I'm just going to review them, on the surface based on what their channel says and the things that I have to give as feedback. So we have Classic and Modern Gaming, hosted by Josh and Julian every Monday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Perfect. Their branding's on point. They're going with, retro console design. You can see here in some of their streams. Yeah. We are over 18 years of old. 18 years of old? 18 years of age / years old? Anyway, they have this awesome little like retro themed design going based on, the PC Engine Duo. And of course, now the crap is coming to bite me in the butt. So we're going to fix that. This is why I had part of the screen cut off, ladies and gentlemen. I will fix this for the next episode. Don't worry. Anyway, we got a lovely layout here that looks like kind of like a Game Boy or a PC Engine Duo. They got a view here. That's their intro. They got, their chat and their sub integrations into it. I really like how this is presented overall. The branding here is super on point. I am a fan of this. They have some quality issues though. Now, I'm not gonna harp on it too harshly because I think they're working with what they got. Because actually, if we go in here to the stats for nerds, the video stats, you can see they're streaming at about 2 megabits per second. Sometimes it gets a little bit under 3 megabits per second, and they're streaming at 720p 60. So clearly they're bandwidth limited, which is fine. If that's what you got, you work with it. And so the quality is going to be a little bit crunchy for that. Now, they have working in their favor the fact that most of the screen stays static for the majority of the stream. So you got your layout that doesn't move. You got your text that only updates every so often. And then you got your chat text, which updates, but it's fairly slow. So the bits only really need to go to the game and their faces. Now, their green screen quality isn't amazing, but it's serviceable. It's fine. My problem with their presentation here is that the camera angle is a little bit awkward. It's kind of like they're on a couch, I think, and the camera angle is set on like a coffee table in front of the couch, and so it's pointed up at them from the couch level, which is kind of like a crotch cam. It gets pointed kind of up their nose, up their face, which is not a flattering angle, and then it gets regularly blocked by their knees and their hands, and I just find it unpleasing. I kind of get it from a like, hey, you're chilling with us perspective, but there's a lot of psychology that goes into camera angles with in terms of height. And when you have a camera angle super below the person's face, that gives the presenter this kind of like feeling of authority or dominance over the viewer, which works if you're trying to like play the voice of God or like a super, I'm Thor looking down on you viewer character or something. But when you're in a like chill with us stream kind of perspective, it doesn't really work the same. And the same thing with looking up above, that then minimizes you to your audience and makes your audience have kind of the authority over you. And this is kind of a poor, like, it's not super low, but it's still like a poor angle to choose. And I honestly don't think anyone looks super flattering at that angle. I don't know what stand or tripod or whatever they're using, but I would recommend getting that up a little bit and pointed more eye level at them. Getting that a little bit more even to where the legs and the waist level is kind of cropped off is it's probably going to be the way to go. I think that would be a little bit more flattering. It would make their overall view look a little bit better. And probably allow them to focus on their face a little bit more as well. And honestly, again, I don't know what camera they're working with, but I would kind of recommend them getting a wider angle lens, or if they're using a webcam, getting one of the, potentially trying out one of those smartphone lens adapters that gives you a wider angle on their webcam. Because weirdly enough, getting that more fisheye view, like our side angle here, whee! In their particular instance, the wide angle fisheye view, and you don't got to go super fisheye, but the wide angle fisheye view actually shrinks down the people in the frame, which allows them, when they're in a two-person setup like that, to focus in more on them. So for example, if I'm doing a game stream and I have, we'll switch over to my main cam. This actually is still considered a wide angle, but you know, if I'm right up on the camera, it becomes a little bit more awkward to kind of frame me properly. Whereas if we have a super wide angle view like this, I can crop off a ton of the extra space around me to just focus on me. Now this applies to them specifically because there's two of them and they're on a couch and they presumably don't want to be like all snuggled up against each other. And this one keeps leaning off a frame, which is kind of awkward. They keep leaning out of the camera view and things like that. And so by getting a wider angle view, getting that angle up and getting them kind of shrunk into the frame, they can crop off more of the sides. You know, they could still crop off where their green screen isn't or whatever, but kind of squish them a little bit more into the spot that they're supposed to be on the video. And I think that would work a little bit better and help avoid this awkward scenario where he keeps leaning out of frame. Again, I don't know what their space looks like or anything like that. They gave me a little to work with, but I think that would be a pretty substantial change for them to implement. Yes, these are the 58Xs. Actually, are these the 6X? No, these are the 58Xs Sennheiser Mass Drop headphones. All right, what else did I have to offer? Oh yeah, just generally their video quality isn't amazing. Like the scaling quality of whatever retro consoles they're using is pretty poor. I'm not a huge fan of their like title here. That's a little awkward. I would love some more custom fonts there to make it look a little bit better. But their scaling quality isn't super great. If they're using a decent quality scaler and stuff and it's just blurry in OBS, make sure you're using the area scaling filter in OBS. That is the best one for most retro games, especially when you're doing kind of fitting it into a frame that may not be a perfect even, you know, even crop. But then that should look a little bit better. And if you're looking for hardware choices to get a little bit higher quality scaling option, look to the RetroTink line of capture device, or not capture devices, scalers. So I have here the RetroTink 2X Mini and the RetroTink 2X Pro, and this is the multi-format. And they take your composite S-video or component inputs, this one's composite and S-video only, and spits it out via HDMI at 480p and does a clean integer scale, which makes things look a lot better and a lot smoother. And then you can scale that up to 1080p or 720p or whatever with the area scaling filter in OBS, or you can use, you know, more expensive FrameMeisters and open source scan converters and the RetroTink 5X and all of that, but you don't need to. The cheaper RetroTinks are frankly good enough. But yeah, RetroTink 5X is apparently coming in stock next month, so there's that. In terms of like presentation and everything else, it's kind of okay. Whenever they die in a lot of these platformer games, when they're in between lives, they stop and respond to chat, and otherwise they kind of just reference chat messages as they go. And that's something I've been preaching a lot, especially for multiplayer shooter players, is whenever you're in between matches, don't just keep queuing up instantly. Switch camera angles and engage with your stream and provide some entertainment and some connection, and then queue up a match. Don't just keep going match to match to match. However, what they don't do right, while they're doing that part right, what they don't do right is they are still doing the same camera angle for the entire duration of the stream. There's no cut to them, there's no break scene, it's just the same gameplay scene for hours and hours and hours, which is boring to viewers. It doesn't work super well, and when you already have multiple sources set up, you could easily set up a secondary, retro layout focused on their webcam or things like that. Now, it seems like they experiment with their layout sometimes, so I did want to note they have a different layout where it's presented where their camera has a frame around it. I don't know if they've ditched this or if that's what they normally do. My issue with the frame specifically is that they still have no background. So it's a frame around their camera, but then their background is still keyed out. So I would recommend creating or, finding some sort of retro looking background to include that you then blur out. Don't make it sharper than your camera, but blur out and make it seem like you're sitting in an environment. But this could just be an older layout. It seems like they were switching back and forth a little bit, so I wasn't sure. So, that's the way to go. So that means that it's time for this streamer to get to their streamer professor's report card. So first and foremost, in terms of video quality, I am giving them a B-. They are running at a super low bitrate. It gets kind of crunchy sometimes. The green screen isn't great. It doesn't mean it's like anything they necessarily can or need to do anything about. I offered some suggestions in terms of scaler options and scaling filters and camera angles and things like that they can improve it. But ultimately, if you're bitrate limited, you're bitrate limited, and I'm not going to hold that against you, even if it does affect your grade. You can make a career on not having the best video quality. You can. So not a huge deal there. I thought I had a hotkey for this. I guess I do not. We're going to go ahead and hit the next one. For audio quality, I'm giving them a B. It's honestly not great. We can actually go and play a sample here real quick. I guess I should have done that.
Where?
They have a microphone, I believe, sitting like right between them.
Yeah, if I go over there.
But it's like super echoey. Their game sounds too loud. Honestly, I don't think in the other streams I was looking at, their game sound wasn't quite this loud. So this one from yesterday, funny enough, is a little bit too loud.
Turn.
Ow, my ears.
Guys,
Okay, yeah. So I would honestly give them a lower score based on this VOD than the VODs I was looking at. But regardless, I'm giving them a B because overall their audio quality is okay, but it's not great, not super stellar. In terms of hosting, giving them a B. They do a fairly decent job. This is more of a hang out with us while we play games kind of stream rather than a super hyper entertaining or educational stream, which is fine. They have the personalities for that. They have two people, which makes it so much easier to play off of each other. And, keep the conversation going. Doing things as a co-op pair is always the way to go. And they generally respond to chat and things like that. So they're regularly talking. They're reacting to the game. Hosting's pretty solid, nothing spectacular, but for what they're doing a pretty solid job. Metadata wise, I'm giving them an A. Usually they have something associated with the game. I would recommend taking out the follower goal out of their titles. That just is always bad to me. Please don't put follower sub goals. This is a personal preference, but I'm always against it personally. I think it devalues your content in a major way and devalues your followers or your subscribers in a major way. In terms of graphics, I'm giving them a B+. They made their own made their own custom layouts that matches their literal channel branding. Their branding is on point. My only complaint had to do with the webcam frame, and sometimes their font choices are kind of mismatched and out of place. And then finally, their presentation, I am of course giving them a D+, because they never change scenes throughout the entire stream, which is something I'm going to continue to harp on over and over and over. Whoa, that was weird. Sorry about that. If you want to apply for Stream Critique yourself, you can head on over to, if I can type, there we go. You can head on over to, I had a chat shortcut for it. Whatever, I'm pasting it in chat now. streamguides.gg/streamcritique. That is an application. If that doesn't work for you, I also posted a Google form. Please try to use the website one though, because I don't really check the Google form much. That's the one from last season. But it is there as a backup, because sometimes the website one just doesn't kind of work for some reason. But I asked for your stream URL, recent VODs. You have to be active or I'm not really going to cover you if you haven't streamed in a few weeks or months. I asked for some information about specs or hardware. These are optional, but they do help me kind of guide my feedback And then what's most important is the last question about what you actually want feedback on, because otherwise I got to shoot blind and you may not get chosen if I don't have particular things to talk about for that week or whatever. Luigi's asking if you have to apply again if you weren't picked this week. You do not. I just pull from the overall pool of applications, so you can, once you submit it once, if I choose you, I choose you. Makes sense? Makes sense. All right, let's play an ad while I blow my nose super quick, and we'll be back for streamer number 2.
For your streams and videos, but want something a little heavier? My awesome community sought to solve that and made Backing Track. Hard rock and heavy metal music, safe for your content and free to use. No subscriptions. Head over to backingtrack.gg to stream it or join our Discord for free downloads.
By the way, if you haven't already, go check out our merch at eposvox.gg/merch. We have high quality desk mats that have the blank VHS style design, perfectly on point for our branding here. We have the stickers, and then we have the 1-inch enamel pins. All of these are super high quality. We source them really, they're friggin' stellar. They're great. They would look great if you are a fan of this channel and our brand. And every order gets you a free trial to Nebula, my own streaming service. So head on over to eposvox.gg/merch. Check them out for yourself. These are a limited run, so once they're gone, at least for now. I'm always scared to commit to fully, like, you know, gone forever kind of things, but they're gonna be gone for a while. So see how it is that way. Yeah. I tried using the OBS plugin that can switch sources, but it doesn't seem to work with my cam link. I can only have one cam link source active at a time. How does the webcam switching work? So that's the source switcher plugin. You have them. That's really weird. I would have to look at it like hands-on to actually answer that, because I'm not sure, because it should work fine, and you can definitely add multiple cam links to you can definitely add multiple cam links to OBS in general. So yeah, I'll have to take a look at it, like actually get hands-on. Choices are getting better all the time. Yes, that's why there's no excuse to try to use radio music on your stream. Backingtrack.gg. Wait, what's Nebula? Excuse me. Nebula is my own streaming service I have built with my creator friends. I guess I'm running a Nebula ad as well. Here we go. Nebula is my own streaming service I have built with my creator friends here. Can I find me without logging in? Because I'm apparently not logged in on this computer. Here you can go. Here my videos are higher quality because they don't have crazy YouTube compression. They are ad-free and they are often extended from the YouTube version. So like a lot of the mic reviews, I think I forgot to mark that one as extended, but a lot of the mic reviews have extra mic samples that aren't included in the YouTube one, or they otherwise have extra content that aren't included in the YouTube versions because retention and YouTube algorithms and all of that jazz. It's harder to get longer form content really going on YouTube, so a lot of that stuff gets put over here. And then things like my how to build a stream show, I just put that all in the same like video with all the extended stuff I cut out of the individual episodes. And then I do have an interview show series coming. I'm doing the first episode of that. I'm recording it on Thursday of this week. And I'm super stoked for it. And the extended cut of those interviews will go up here as well, just like the giant like 2-hour interview I did with Mr. Greggles was, and an extended cut of my YouTube studio tour, all of that. And so it's my own streaming site built with people that do awesome educational YouTube stuff. We'll also have podcasts coming on it as well. And yeah, and if you want to sign up, I'd actually recommend going instead to CuriosityStream, if I can type, .com/epos, as CuriosityStream is a separate streaming site. I know that's a little confusing, but it's a separate streaming site focused on educational content and documentary content who wanted to partner up with Nebula form a YouTube alliance or something. And so if you sign up with my link for Curiosity Stream, which is only $15 a year, you get Nebula and Curiosity Stream for the price of one, for $15 for a whole year. Pretty awesome. All right, I didn't expect to do that ad today, but whatever. We're getting on to streamer number 2. Here we have the Game Looters. This is a YouTube channel that is effectively achieving my YouTube dreams that I had with my wife back in like 2012 and 2013. Because those of you who don't know, my YouTube channel originally started out as a gaming channel. And in fact, one of the main pivots that we had for a while was it was a co-op gaming channel. We called it Let's Play Together. And it was a co-op Let's Play channel with me and my now wife. And this was before co-op Let's Plays were a common thing. So this was before, before the Game Grumps were huge or any of those where you had a bunch of groups of people doing co-op Let's Plays. That wasn't really a common thing. So we were like ahead of the curve, but I didn't know how to do a whole lot of the marketing or anything for it. So it didn't end up going very well. And frankly, we don't have the lifestyle to stick with long form Let's Plays and stuff anyway. But that was what we thought we were going to do on YouTube here for things like that, especially Pokemon related as well. We were one of the first people doing a Let's Play of Poke MMO, and I think it's called Pokemon Online now, or either that's a separate game, I'm not sure. But that blew up for a little while, and sort of old school EposVox fan over here, hell yeah! And so we were doing stuff like that, and this is a married couple effectively doing that. They are a husband and wife couple that are doing gaming videos, news videos, tips, tricks, as well as streams, doing co-op stuff about various video games. So for example, if we go over here to this stream, they have a stream going where they're both playing Animal Crossing and talking to chat and things like that, which is pulling at my heartstrings, really close to home. Super stoked on that aspect, on its own. But we do have some improvements to make as well, as we always do. Always got some feedback there. So they stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They post guides, tips, and tricks, and of course their streams. They're fairly consistent about the games that they stream, but something that they say they struggle with is their actual, in terms of like overall consistency with just getting streams going together, because I think they have a kid. They mentioned in one of the streams, lifestyle stuff kind of gets in the way. But something that they also struggle with is balancing streaming with their existing like YouTube content, because they're focused on building YouTube content to go with, building subscribers and things like that. So this is going to be the first episode of Stream Critique that's also kind of a YouTube critique. And by the way, if you didn't know, my job used to actually be being a YouTube consultant. I worked for a YouTube MCN for a very long time. And that was kind of eventually my overall goal, was I was their YouTube expert or whatever. And I got certified in this and that and the other, and was doing consultations and helping people grow their channels. And that was before I decided to grow my own. And so it's kind of something that is technically a specialty of mine, even if I don't, I help people behind the scenes, but I don't do a lot of it publicly. So we are combining that with stream critique here, since we pivoted to streaming a bit. So we're going to do a little bit of both here, because we got some cool stuff to go. So obviously they post videos alongside their streams, and they say that they're having trouble balancing it. And frankly, I think they're doing a good job, because they stream on weekends and then they tend to post videos during the weekday, which I think is a pretty fine balance. In terms of consistency, that's the balance that I have mostly found. I have this Tuesday show every other week, and then I have a Friday show on the alternating weeks. And having that consistent day means viewers know what to expect, and that you can mostly pull it off while, doing other things on your channel. And it's fairly easy to implement content and strategies around that, because you know what days you have available for all that stuff. So going through their channel here, I will say, their branding overall is completely on point. Like, I absolutely love this. From the Game Looters as a name is pretty neat. They got their artwork going. They got a consistent thumbnail style. They have either character faces or their own reaction faces on the thumbnails. And if you pop into one of their streams, then you will see that they have a freaking awesome stream layout based on the game that they're playing. So they have one for Animal Crossing. They have one for Pokemon Sword and Shield. They got their chat frames. And then they have an awesome backdrop with all their Funko Pops and their Pokemon plushes and things like that, which is freaking awesome. And then can we find their shiny hunting stream? Yeah. And then their Pokemon shiny hunting stream, they have a separate layout built specifically for Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is awesome. Like, branding is completely on point here. They are killing it overall. Their backdrop is awesome. Their chat integration is clever. This is a channel with style and character. But again, there's room for improvement. So we're going to focus on their streams since that's the point of the show rather than their video content, although we will have some notes about strategy and things like that with that. First and foremost, looking at one of their streams, they are committing a cardinal sin just right up front. I'm going to see if you can spot it, because I point it out all the time. That cardinal sin is with the face cam right here. They are looking out of frame. I wish I had an app where I could just like draw on the screen, but they're framed right here, and they are looking out of frame. And for any amount of basic like photography and cinematography 101, having the person look off page, out of frame, whatever, you know, away from where your viewer's eyes are supposed to go is considered like the number one big bad thing you're never supposed to do. Now, in this particular case, you could argue that it's better because if you're looking in the non-theater view, chat is over here. So like they could be directing viewers' eyes over to chat. You could make that argument. But looking at the content itself, especially since chat is on screen, and so you don't need to have YouTube's chat up overall, they are looking away from chat and they are looking away from the gameplay. Which means, as a viewer, your eyes are naturally going to be pushed where their eyes are, because that's how human face psychology works. And you're going to look for their eyes, and then you're going to follow their eyes off frame, and you're not going to be looking at the gameplay or the chat. Now, obviously, eventually, you're going to bring yourself to look at those things, but like that's a disconnect with the viewer's brain where they're being directed elsewhere from where they're supposed to look. Now, with their specific layout, I don't think the option is just like flipping the camera, because that could look weird with things mirrored, because then they're still not looking right. Like, I think it would require a complete overhaul of their layout to really make work. But just keep that in mind, that is considered one of the biggest no-nos when it comes to framing and composition and things like that. Secondly, they never change scenes. I know we just talked about that with the previous streamer, but for the entire hour and 48 minutes, now it's a shorter stream, but they never change to another view. And this is frustrating to me because there is so much potential here. And in fact, I'm going to be like self-congratulatory here or something, and I'm going to pull up a super old video of mine to illustrate what I mean. But the reason that I find it so frustrating, question mark? Hang on, I'm trying to find the playlist here. Let's do description. The reason I find it so frustrating is because when you have, like, they put in the effort here. They put in the effort, which is a ton of effort, and I greatly like appreciate that they did this. But when they put in the effort to actually have capture cards for both persons' perspectives, they've got the face cam, they've got effectively three sources plus the screen elements. So they have their face cam, they have the camera views, and then they have the two individual perspectives of their gameplay. They have so many sources and so much potential for how they can present their stream because they have so many angles to work with. And instead of using any of that in a creative way, it is just the same scene over and over. And I'm really trying to find an example of where I did this with our PokeMMO Let's Play, because I had a lot of fun with that, but frankly, I don't remember when I started doing it. I was trying to find an example here. Is it this one? We posted like 50 parts to this Let's Play, so it's sometimes hard to... Here we go. Okay, so keep in mind, this is 2012. This is cringy old content. It's not content I really want anyone to necessarily like watch or anything, and it's not up to today's standards. But keep in mind, this is what I was doing back in 2012. So we had our main perspective. Then I switched to, granted, we weren't doing face cam stuff at the time, but then I switched to a split screen view when we were battling the same people at the same time. And then I would alternate, and I had like editing templates set up to where I would alternate between our two perspectives as we were playing. Or if one of us was just walking around the world and the other was battling, I would have that shown as well. I was doing this in 2012 because the creative potential, not that I need to flex or anything, because again, this is really cringy content. I can't express that enough. But the creative potential that I saw by having multiple perspectives and multiple things going on is so huge that there's a lot that they're leaving on the table with the singular camera angle here. They could be switching to full screen perspectives of individual perspectives. They absolutely need a just chatting like full face cam view. They can swap the angles around. They can, just switch to one dedicated view while the other one's not doing anything important, and yada yada. The issue, I think, is for them, especially given that they are kind of rushed into their streaming setup due to the life stuff, which I completely get, I often am, is that juggling a lot of that is probably pretty difficult, for which I would recommend, and I have a video planned on this, I've had it planned for like a year, it's still coming, but for this I would recommend either, obviously, a Stream Deck, and I have multiple Stream Decks mounted here on arms so I can juggle everything I need to juggle. Also, I don't think I ever posted merch or backing track into the chat, so you can have that. My bad. But either that or a combination of that and foot pedals. You can get USB foot pedals that you can then assign hotkeys to switch scenes. So if you're playing a game and you don't want to like put the game down to keep the stream going, you can get little foot pedals that you can then use to quickly switch scenes to different perspectives and things like that. And you can keep it snappy. You can keep it like constantly changing and really interesting. And once you do it for a few streams, like if you do it for like a month or 2 months straight, it will become intuitive to you. The practice will just sink in, and that will become the natural thing you want to do, especially if you have a preview view of your stream, because I think they have 3 monitors. And so the ideal scenario of that would be person 1, preview, person 2, and then you get the foot pedal going, and both of you can have them as long as you're not fighting each other. You can both have pedals to like change scenes, and if you notice one hasn't been changing for a while, then you can switch, you can change when it's not necessarily your turn or whatever, and you can keep that stream just super snappy and interesting, especially since honestly, like shiny hunting in Pokemon and hunting for specific villagers in Animal Crossing, while it's a cool hangout with you content concept, it's not necessarily the most action-packed thing ever. And so keeping that more interesting and dynamic would be huge, and there's so much potential there by having the different angles and everything else. So I think that is a big thing to go with. Secondly, I'm not a huge fan of their mic quality.
Or Digimon or something like that. I started watching it on 4Kids too, and even back there, I hated it. Now, the 4Kids version is very, like, it's terrible. But it wasn't, where am I?
They're both using SM7Bs, which are obviously incredible microphones, but they
Next
feel...
time, I need to do is convince my principal One Piece is a history book.
They feel really like boomy and flat while also being like overwhelmed. So compared to the first streamer we looked at, which had one microphone in the middle and there was so much reverb and room sound and it was just really crunchy and harsh, they have 2 microphones, and microphones that are going to reject each other, which is great and much better than we were doing in my PokeMMO videos when I only had one microphone back in 2012. So they're off on the right foot, but I don't think they have any EQ applied, and so they just have it really overcompressed, and as is being pointed out in the chat, there's way too much mids. So I'd recommend a sharp V curve cutting out those mids, and probably a high pass filter as well to roll off some of those low ends, and maybe tweak the compressor. If they want to reach out privately, I can help them more specifically, because without seeing settings or whatever, I can only offer so much. But conceptually, their mids are just way too in there, and I don't like it. They have really good microphones, but the quality is not necessarily great coming out of them. In terms of talking about consistency, to me, consistency means, like in terms of them struggling with their schedule consistency, means that they really need to stick to the time and the day that they're streaming. They said that they always play or stream on the same days, but then when I was tuning into some of their streams, and I guess I'll switch to a different one since we've been looking at the same one for a while, and it's all about keeping it interesting, ladies and gentlemen. We'll switch to the Pokemon one. In one of their streams, one of them was mentioning that like they were gonna stream like 3 hours earlier and then just didn't for no real reason, and they were like, oh yeah, I guess we should finally stream today. That kind of non-committal attitude towards your time and things like that makes it really difficult both for you and for your viewers to feel committed to the show. Like when I do these streams, unless there's something that comes up at home that I need to shift my time for, I stream at 3 p.m. Easterns for Streamer News and for Stream Theory. I build my entire schedule for that day around that time. If there are something, whenever I'm renewing a season or we're having a life change, a new year, my wife starts up something, if we need to change the time, then I choose that time based around what we're doing in life, so that I know that I always have this time block associated. I don't get to just show up and it's 3 p.m. and everyone's waiting on the stream and be like, maybe I'll stream in a couple hours, I'm gonna go watch a TV show. That's not professional. That's not something that gives viewers confidence to show up and watch the stream, and it's just gonna burn viewers away. And it also builds that attitude within yourself to not be committed to the time and things like that in general. So you got to be like locked in on where you're going to stream. Now there is flexibility. If something comes up, if you have to go do something, if life gets in your way, that's fine. Communicate that. But just doing it because you want to go do something else for a couple hours instead, that's a problem to me. In terms of content strategy, real quick, as we wrap up here for this stream review, I think they're doing a good job with overall strategy. They have reactions to events, which is super smart. On their streamed reaction events, which they had one for the Diamond and Pearl review a couple weeks ago, if I can find it. Yeah, that one. They put time codes on it after the fact, which is super smart. And actually on their React streams, they actually do go with the multiple camera angles. So they got the face cam view here. They had a full face cam view at the start. And actually, this appears to be, unless they just switched seats, which is possible, this view is actually mirrored compared to their other streams. So I would recommend just mirroring their camera back on their normal streams. But they're doing a good job in terms of reacting to stuff. They provide tips and tricks. They had a game review of an NBA game that just took off recently. I can't see my screen, so it's here somewhere. Oh yeah, NBA 2K22. Like this is super variety. There's no like one type of game that they're really focused on. So they're gonna have a little bit of a slow grind in terms of that as a smaller channel. But I think they're doing a good job in terms of strategy. I would recommend leveraging shorts a little bit more as they don't have a ton. However, also looking back, they did used to focus a little bit more on a Monster Hunter game. If I can scroll long enough. Yeah, back when they were focusing on Monster Hunter, it seems like their views were a little bit higher. Now, of course, these could have built up over time, but it did seem like there was a significant drop-off once they stopped covering Monster Hunter. And I don't know if they got burned out, if they just needed to stop, it stopped being relevant or whatever. But it does seem like they built up a lot of viewership over this one game, and then they switched and lost some of that viewership. Now, you can just cut it off like that, but I would strongly recommend finding ways to, what I always recommend is trying to bridge your audience from game to game. So if you're making content about, like if you have a lot of viewers focused on one game, give them reasons to care about the other games you're playing. How does this game relate to Monster Hunter? When Monster Hunter doesn't have a lot of new content, why they should pick up this game? When the new game comes out, this one versus this one, like find ways to bridge those audience and members and give them reasons to then trickle over to your other content rather than just cutting it off because they're effectively going to treat it as if they never watch your channel anymore because you're effectively a different channel than back when you posted those games. Now, I did recommend they post shorts, and they did post one. I want to look at this one as an example because just as a one-off point, I think this represents how not to handle shorts.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to the Game Leaders YouTube Shorts. In this short video, we are going to be opening this pack right here of Shiny Fakes as we search for our beautiful Charizard. Let's get it.
So shorts as a content type, especially since it comes from TikTok, which you scroll through on your phone, is supposed to be as snappy and as into it as possible. So while YouTube videos on longer form videos tend to build up to the point, and while that annoys some people, that's kind of the format, like you give you the hook and then what we're going to do, why we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, and then it's done. Shorts are meant to be as in and out as possible. Shorts for Pokemon card openings should really just be highlights of your reactions to what you pull.
All right.
Spending 11 seconds building up in a short is never the right move, regardless of content type. Like, you should just chop that out entirely. Just get into whatever it is, deliver on it immediately, and then maybe explain what you're doing at the end. With normal YouTube videos, you need that hook at the beginning, but otherwise you kind of build it up and then deliver. With shorts, it should be delivery first and foremost. Like, you could have entire shorts that are only 11 seconds. Like, the reaction to pulling an awesome pull could be only 11 seconds. But this comes from the mindset of someone who makes traditional YouTube videos. I struggled with this for years when it comes to shorter form content, TikTok, and things like that, because I'm used to that old school format. So,
All right, as always,
all of that time spent building it up was effectively just wasted time and should have been spent just diving in. And frankly, one-off pack openings where you don't get anything cool is not necessarily worth posting because it's not exciting content. Whereas if you just highlight from longer form openings your big pulls, those could perform really well. And in terms of like, I think they should do shorts with regards to like news reactions and things like that too, which then trickle back into their streams or VODs. Like, they could pair basically every big release, like they had 2 of these in one day, so not with literally every video, but every big release, be it a reaction stream, an individual stream, or a big specific topical video, you could pair that with a short and get those shorts views on it as well and feed back into the full video and perform really well. So just some suggestions there. Let's jump into their report card. In terms of video quality, I'm giving them an A. Overall, their presentation and quality was pretty great. Not super stellar, but YouTube, compresses things anyway, so it's hard to judge anyway. But overall, like, I had no significant complaints about their video quality. Their lighting was great. Their game captures were high quality and everything. My only complaint was, of course, the looking out of frame, which has more to do with the presentation category than necessarily video quality. Audio quality, I'm giving them a B. I really think they need to work on their mic settings. Otherwise, they have exactly what they need for this kind of co-op setup. So solid there. They just need to get rid of those mids. In terms of hosting, I'm giving them an A-, and that's because they do a great job overall. Like, they're responding to the chat, they're keeping active. There's 2 of them. They're, playing off of each other. The negative being that they didn't change any scenes. And that they don't take a break from the game. Like, I find their overall gaming presentation, and obviously some of this goes to presentation, but their overall hosting is so focused on just kind of playing what they're doing in the game that there's not a lot of hosting spent on just like stopping and talking with chat or like more personal interactions, as I would say it. But overall, they're doing a great job there. Metadata, I'm giving them an A. Their titles overall seem to be pretty solid, SEO friendly, all of that jazz, no complaints there. Graphics, I'm giving them a B+. Again, I think they should do more with them, and I have a complaint about the webcam being pointed out of frame. And then presentation is their weakest grade at a C. Again, they're not changing scenes, they're not leveraging the massive creative potential that they have in front of them, and really like integrating chat in any significant way. And I think some of this comes down to the ability to prepare ahead of time. I think some of it comes down to just maybe not having thought of it, but I think there's a lot they could do to really make their content just pop that much more, and I would love to see them live up to it. Stream criticism, don't kill me please, but your fake Windows icons are too small in comparison for the other fake Windows UI. Actually, it's just the browser that's scaled up too high compared to the rest. So that is stream critique. We were gonna have an after party section with some Pokemon openings. Unfortunately, it looks like we're having some trouble with my kid in the house with lunch, so I'm gonna have to go feed him instead of opening Pokemon cards. But we do have some microphones to check out. This show is supposed to always be at least 2 sections. So we do have some microphones I want to unbox and check out here, and I will say either tonight or tomorrow night or something, we'll do a much bigger Pokemon card opening stream here on Twitch, so stay tuned for that. But let's get ourselves some microphones. So you've been listening to the Earthworks Audio Icon Pro, which is a super expensive and super high quality microphone that frankly is hard to compare to, so it's kind of setting these mics up for failure. But we're just going to quickly check these out in this part of Tweak Zone.
Prepare for battle.
So here we have 2 microphones from a new audio company that I believe was formed by former Blue engineers. This is a company called 512 Audio. I don't really know what the 512 means, but they have produced 2 microphones to start, and they are both $200. This is the 512 Skylight, which is a studio condenser microphone, and then the 512 Limelight, which is a dynamic broadcast microphone. And this looks very similar to the RE20 and RE320, or even the Heil PR40, longer than the PR40, but shorter than the RE20 and 320. So I'm very interested in how these look and sound. So in the box, we get a lovely little zipper bag. You can tell they come from an old school audio company when they're including these still. Newer microphone companies don't always do that. Then you get the microphone itself, and boy does this look like an Electro Voice microphone. Oh, it's significantly lighter though. What the hell? This is one of the lightest broadcast dynamic microphones I have used. It weighs like nothing. For the record, the RE20 and RE320 are incredibly heavy microphones. Like they are heavy microphones. This thing is super light. It definitely looks like an RE20. It's into dress, got the grills here. I'm guessing it might not have proximity effect because of this. It looks gorgeous. Presentation wise, it looks incredible. It even has a low cut filter on the bottom, which most microphones do, but low cut filter on the bottom. XLR out the back here. And then the microphone mount that it comes with actually has a little bit of a rubber gasket in here to act as a bit of a shock mount, which is better than most microphones. This is actually pretty cool. Empty demo unit. That would be hilarious, honestly. Oh yeah, I'll review your microphone. It doesn't make sound. All right, and secondly, we have their studio condenser microphone, which is of course going to be more geared towards singing or voiceover in a more sound-treated environment. Oh, and this one comes with the big boy stuff. So we have a big Chonkers pop filter here, or shock mount, rather. Apologies. Big Chonkers shock mount here. This thing is awesome, but you do get a big Chonkers pop filter over here. What I was looking at. Got some dust on it, but otherwise lovely. And then the microphone is already in the bag. I think that's all that's in the box. Ugh. This bag's a little bit nicer. This does feel like a nicer presentation, even though I'm pretty sure both of these cost the same. So I'm not sure what the deal with that is. And this is, oh, it's like, oh, there we go. The 512 Skylight, which is a condenser microphone. I believe it's supposed to be side address like this, not end address up here. Well, yeah, because the pop filter covers here. So you talk into this part. This is a very distinct design. This almost looks like a lightsaber hilt. Like, it's really thick for one, but like this looks like a lightsaber. Like, here's the button for it. This is the little like hilt that they have on them that are usually a little bit decorative, and then the lightsaber shoots out of here. Shoom, shoom. That's a little weird. So we're gonna sort of hook these up for a second. Yeah, I don't know that I'd call this attractive, but it's quite the design regardless. So we're gonna hook these up and get a super quick demo, but like I said, unfortunately I do have to bounce to go help out with the kid. But that's okay. So let's get these hooked up here. I will switch to my main cam view. Actually, we'll do side cam. I'm gonna mute the mic and switch them over real quick just to test it. Test, 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 test. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. All right, let's see if it has proximity effect. We are talking back here. And now we're well, I changed my tone of voice. We're talking back here. We're talking up here. There's definitely proximity effect. At least I think so.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into this microphone review. This actually doesn't require a ton of gain. We are sitting... okay, it requires a decent amount. We're sitting at 42 dB of gain. We have the compressor... Sorry. Oh, that's a lot of handling noise. Hold... Some of that is amplified by the noise gate and compressor on the Go XLR, but that is a fair amount of handling noise. So don't grab the microphone, I guess. Well, we're sitting at 42 dB of gain, which isn't like super high. So that's pretty cool. Why, hello there. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Stream Theory. I think it sounds pretty good for 200 bucks. I mean, I'll have a review of it separate, but like for 200 bucks, sounds pretty solid. I'm so impressed with how lightweight it is. I have to imagine it's missing something, and maybe that's a built-in shock mount. Maybe there's a shock mount in the RE20 that weighs a little bit more that this doesn't, because this is... That's not good. That, yeah. I'm going to turn down the mids by 2. Test. I don't think that's going to make a big difference. Yeah. I think it's one of these mics that's like, it sounds great, but the handling noise and the desk shocks and stuff are going to be so loud. Yeah, all right. So let's switch mics real quick just to wrap things up with the condenser version. Test. Hello. So this is going to be a poor comparison for the skylight because we do have the background noise on, and that's going to be amplified by the compressor. But hello. This is the skylight. Oh man. It sounds pretty good. Microphone test. I'm not sure it's amazing. I mean, it's 200 bucks, so comparatively, it's kind of cheap for a condenser mic. Like, I don't think it, like, just on a blind, like, first impression, I don't know that it competes with, like, my LCT 440 Pure or my CAD E100S. But hello. Ladies and gentlemen. 200 bucks and no RGB. Well, yeah, I'm not a fan of the looks. I mean, it might be someone's look. I don't know why they did it this way. 3 rings for the Oven Kings under the sky, 7 for the Dwarf Lords in their halls of stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. Fatality. I can definitely get the rumble going. Monster kill. Looks like an air filter for a car. Yes. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the So yeah, not bad.
These were designed in Austin, Texas, by the way. So yeah. I won't say I'm impressed yet, but they actually sound pretty decent. Yeah. I don't think I can say more till I test them in a cleaner environment without, and get everything going. Do you have a tutorial on ducking the music? I do, actually. One sec. Ducking. Quack, quack, quack. Quack, quack, quack. Quack, 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 quack. Shabamo. All right, well, that wraps up today's episode of Stream Theory. Apologies, I got to bounce early. I am still working out this format and family life and stuff because usually my streams are only an hour. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Give me a Twitch sub if you want early access to content and behind the scenes and all of that jazz. Thank you so much. This will be up next week in terms of the stream critique part over on YouTube as well. Check out Discord, discord.gg/EposVox, and go check out our merch. Go check out backing track music. And stay tuned as I might have a Pokemon opening stream later tonight or tomorrow or something. Otherwise, I'll catch you later. Bye-bye. Wow, that didn't work. Bye-bye. I love condenser mics. Like, they're terrible for streaming and for background noise rejection and, tippity-tap, tip-tap, but if I want to stroke the vocal cords, and they let me do that. Anyway, bye-bye. Sorry. Do I not have an ending screen? Is that it? There we go.